Detours. Brought to you by Sports and Spokes, the magazine for wheelchair sports and recreation. At the Adaptive Surfing Championships in Oceanside, California, Aussie Chris Astill competed in the Unassisted Prone category. A self-proclaimed thrill seeker, Astill is back in the water surfing only 2 years after sustaining a spinal cord injury from a paragliding accident. Chris, what category do you surf in?
Okay, yeah, so I'm in Prone 1 category. I'm classified in surfing, that's my division, and that means that I lie down to surf and I go in unassisted. So I paddle out by myself, catch waves, and paddle back out myself. So get help to the water, and that's it.
Hey, just out of curiosity, before we talk about your individual discipline, why did you choose that over, say, wave ski surfing or any of the other types of disciplines?
Yeah, I think I had a few surfers come and visit me in hospital, and they knew that I grew up a surfer and that I've always been in the ocean. And when I got classified with Mo from St. Augustine's over here, she said, I'm putting you in Prone 1 because of your level of function and your injury, but we want to see you progress to wave ski. So she's got it all mapped out for me. So this is my 5th competition on the AASP circuit. I've done all 4 this year, and I'll aim to be in the wave ski next year as I get the hang of that.
So this is interesting because I'm a little naive to this. I would have thought that laying down prone, that would have been maybe more of an advancement. So is it actually more difficult or more exciting? What's the reason to go to wave skiing from prone?
I think for a few people, myself included, I think the wave ski is closer to what I grew up doing. I'm a relatively new injury at about 2.5 years, thereabouts. And I grew up stand-up surfing. So a wave ski, I think, replicates closer the dynamics of stand-up surfing, whereas prone surfing is a bit more closer to bodyboarding with a few more challenges built in with the paraplegia for me.
Do you think it's going to be a dramatic change or an adjustment when you go from the point where you're laying down to sitting up and using a paddle, or are you already kind of mentally prepared for that?
I'm looking forward to it, but at the moment, being so new to the injury, most things are new at the moment. I'm learning how to move in the world again. So, you know, in surfing, they call them groms, where you're all excited and it's all brand new and you're young and you start out and you've got this level of stoke or excitement for learning the new things. I feel like I'm doing that as a 47-year-old again. So I'm excited about it.
So talking to a prone surfer for the first time, what are some of the difficulties or little tendencies or intricate parts of that game that you have to learn in order to be successful?
Learning how to not drown. No, keeping your, for me, or anyone with paraplegia, quadriplegia that doesn't have movement or limited movement of the legs, keeping the legs on the surfboard is a trick. Some of that can be solved by equipment or ways around or ways that you move your body. And it's not really a joke. You have to be comfortable underwater because it takes longer to come back up and you've got less to move with, less power that you can generate without legs or whatever it happens to be. The surfboards get designed a little bit differently, so mine's pretty cool. It's got fins moved up more towards where my turning point is, similar to a yacht where you'd have the keel in the center, because that's the turning point. It's got a handle on the front. I can't duck dive like I used to, so that creates a challenge on the way back out. You know, it's take it on the face or headbutt into whitewash rather than be able to get underneath the turbulence and paddle back out. So yeah, there's a few challenges that come along.
Is the handle on the front of the board, is that more for maneuvering or to keep you on the, you know, to negotiate your maneuvers and perform to your best, or to keep you on the board, or a combination?
Definitely a combination. So I think in terms of, say, a quick illustration would be paddling out, a wave might come that hits you in the head. You can grab the handle and manage the board through that turbulence. So that's one use of it. Catching a wave, you might have to push the board in front of you so you don't nosedive and then pull it back under you as you get onto the wave and start to trim. And then if you want to do a cutback, you might, I've developed, like other people have, a technique for doing that. Mine is putting one hand in the water and pulling the handle around. So that creates that drive like you'd see a surfer do with 2 legs. So it's got multiple uses. And then when things go wrong, you just hold onto it like a panic handle and hope you can keep your board near you.
So when you talk about a cutback, do you think, is that one of the maneuvers that you think the judges look for, getting a really good solid cutback?
Definitely. That's fundamentals. So yeah, you'll take off and do a bottom turn, and then you're expected to do some form of turn. A cutback's one of the classic moves that you'd see in a magazine photo or video reels, where the surfer's changing directions back towards the whitewash and then back out again. So
how does this compare to able-bodied surfing?
I think the main criteria that they judge on and score on, and that if you look at it in a certain way, has a lot of similarities. So speed, power, flow, style, they go across the board of surfing. But then you've got, the the limitations or the challenges that you're working with. And so having a bit more in-depth knowledge about what it means to lie down and surf or kneel and surf with one leg or to stand up on prosthetics, that appreciation, I think, creates the scoring within that. So there's stuff that's shared across surfing, and then there's stuff that's particular to adaptive surfing or parasurfing.
We'd like to take a minute to thank our sponsor, Sports and Spokes magazine. For nearly 50 years, they've produced stories on iconic athletes performing at the top of their game, given generational coverage of sports dating back to the 1970s, and they've shown the way with exciting and timeless magazine cover shots. To stay on top of all the latest news from the world of high-performance adaptive sports, go to sportsandspokes.com. Sports and Spokes, the magazine for wheelchair sports and recreation.
In just the time that you've done this, there has to have been a couple of crazy moments because, the water is just sheerly unpredictable. What's some of the hairier moments you found yourself caught up in being out in the ocean?
Surfing since being in a wheelchair, I think the third time I went out, I used to think of myself as a big wave surfer in my small little pond in Manly. And so we had a swell come through after I'd got out of hospital and rehabilitation, spinal rehab. And I took my partner to the beach and I said, I'm paddling out, and there was no one out. It was stormy and it was decent sized surf. And I thought, I grew up doing bigger than this, so I paddled out and I said, oh, you can be support. So she put on fins and she got into the water, sort of sitting in the shallows waiting for me. A rip took her a kilometre away, a long way away. So she was no help to me. And then I was out the back having to catch a big wave to get in, because otherwise it was going to be mayhem getting washed ashore and maybe on the rocks where I was surfing. So I caught a big wave and I managed to get it close to the shore, and then I saw that it was full of seaweed there. And I thought, I'm really out of my depth here. I'm in trouble. I've got my legs tethered together with a leg rope, so they're actually bound between the two femurs, and a leg rope on. And I came into where the seaweed was, and I knew what was going to happen, and it happened. The seaweed tangled around all the bits, all the leg ropes, the ones between my knees, the one that my leg rope, and it was dragging me underwater. And I was maybe 10 meters from the shore and looking at the lifeguard tower going, I don't want to be rescued. The pride was taking over, but I was close to drowning and full of sand and seaweed, and I'm thinking, this is close. Luckily, another wave pushed me up onto the beach and I just got covered, looked like a sea monster that was floppy on the shore. And then my partner dragged herself out looking similar, and we went home. Lesson learned. It was close, but not too close to get emergency services involved. Yeah.
But nonetheless, you got back in the water.
Yeah, I had to back it off from there. I learned that I can't do what I used to do in the water, and especially once the water does what it does and makes you feel small. I felt very small that day, and I backed it off and then started building back up again from a lower level rather than thinking I could jump in at that point that early on. Yeah, so it's been a slow progression.